Hi, this is Denise again. I just wanted to come and share with you guys a quick little PSA. Much of what I'm doing is about autism recovery, and I really do wholeheartedly believe that it starts with the diet. Like if you could change your gut health and the condition of your gut, when I say your gut, like your gut, if you can if you can change the condition of your gut health, you will see the difference. And so whether it be autism or chronic health or you just want to feel better, start there. So a couple of the foods that I would suggest that most people just not even eat, especially not give to your kids. The first thing on the list, the top of that list would be dairy. Dairy is highly inflammatory. Casein, which is the protein in dairy, it's difficult for our bodies to digest, especially Black people. We're just not cut out to eat it, unfortunately. And I know you're like, oh my God, what about the mac and cheese? What about the pizza? Like all those things. No, it's just not good. So the conventional cow's store-bought milk that's in the grocery store right now, leave it there. It's not something that you want to eat. And certain words and certain terms to look out for when you see casein or when you see carrageenan, those words, those names are synonymous with milk. So just because it says dairy-free or lactose-free does not mean that it is so. Second thing on the list is gluten. Gluten, once again, is a protein that's difficult for us to break down. And just like the name suggests, gluten, it's kind of like glue, and it sits there in our gut like that. But glutamorphine, much like casomorphine, it reacts to our brain almost like an opiate. So almost like morphine. So when you think of morphine and what it does and the effect it has on your body, equate that to the milk and the pizza and the dairy, because it does essentially the same thing. And what we know about opiates is that it's highly addictive. It blocks pain, right? And one of the main side effects is constipation. So it's no surprise that kids, especially kids that are on the spectrum, that we know love to eat milk and breads and crackers, and they're just like my son. Oh my God, he would eat an entire sleeve of Ritz crackers, the entire sleeve in one sitting, and still looking for more. But I recognize now why that is, because one, is gluten is highly addictive. Two, why he would bump into walls and not feel anything, because it almost made him drunk, like very morphine-like. It made him in this drunk state where he was just kind of like checked out, and he felt no pain, or he had a high pain threshold, and that's why. So, and then again, he has issues with constipation, and again, we know that's part of the side effects of opiates. So, yeah, so don't do it. 3, and this kind of goes without saying, but I guess I have to say it. Processed sugar, no good. There's sugar, and it's in just about everything. It's sickening almost how they put sugar in everything. Wherever they can put it, they'll put it in their crayon if they could. You know what I mean? It probably is in there. But anyway, they put it in everything. So when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about white processed sugar, which is highly processed. It's genetically modified. It's sprayed with all kinds of pesticides, including the glyphosate. These are things that you don't want. Sugar, it's highly addictive. It's almost more addictive than cocaine. It's just something that's not good. And of course, sugar, it feeds bad bacteria. So all those donuts and pizzas and sweets and all those things that we feed ourselves, all we're feeding that bad bacteria, which of course now is wreaking havoc on our gut health, and in turn wreaking havoc in our lives. So stay away from it. Food dyes. So, and then one more thing, like high fructose corn syrup, let's just say, like, come on, that's like straight sugar, like sugar syrup. Like, don't do it. So like, in the sodas and everything else that they can find it. I remember at one time I saw it in applesauce, like basic applesauce, which is what I was looking for, because I didn't feel like, making my own applesauce. I was like, let me just go get some applesauce from the store. Sure enough, ingredients, apples and high fructose corn syrup. Like, why? There's no need. Like, why? But they did it anyway. So again, back to the list. So what is that? The fourth thing on my list is food dyes or food coloring or artificial flavoring. Again, we don't need these substances in our food. Food dyes are derived from like petroleum and coal tar. So why are we feeding it to the kids? And then of course, when you see labels like, in the ingredients list, like blue number 4 or yellow Lake 20 or red number 5, that's a food dye. And we know that they're, once again, highly addictive. It can cause eczema. It can cause loss of focus and concentration. It can cause hyperactivity. I mean, we know this, so don't give it to your kid. Another thing, sodium nitrate. So oftentimes you'll find nitrates in things like lunch meat, or like hot hamburgers and stuff like that, or bacon. So again, that's a preservative that we don't need in our food, but they put it in there anyway. They put it in there to make it look all nice and pretty. So when you see the packaged meat displayed on the shelves and it has that pinkish color or that reddish pinkish color, that's the nitrate in there. So don't do it. And what we know about nitrates is that they're linked to cancer. So again, don't put it. And I don't know if you notice a theme here. A lot of these substances are in all of the foods that we're feeding our kids. Not just ourselves, but they're marketed towards children. So we have to become detectives when it comes to reading labels. It's so important to read these labels because they sneak that stuff in there. And then you're just like none the wiser because you're like, oh, I thought it was applesauce. And it turns out it's high fructose corn syrup laced applesauce. So anyway, again, people are like, well, how are we going to do this diet? Let's say, how are we going to eliminate these foods? Because my kid, they only eat this or they won't eat that. So just know, like with any sort of narcotic, you're going to have to accept that there's going to be a point where there's going to be withdrawal from it. So you're going to have to just gear yourself and be ready for a fight. And oftentimes with our kids, especially the kids that are on the spectrum, you may notice where they're going to be more irritable or they're going to be more stimmy meaning that they're going to have more negative symptoms. And essentially they're going to have more temper tantrums. They're going to be pissed. They're like, took away my crack, and of course, when you take crack away from a crackhead, how they're going to respond. And I say that, please understand what I'm saying when I'm saying that. But when you take that substance away, they're going to have withdrawal symptoms, physically and mentally. They're like, wait a minute, like what happened? This is not what I want to do. But if we stay on the path and we stay consistent, then we can get them to change and eat the foods that are better for them. So I would first tell people to swap out stuff. I went cold turkey with my son. Like I did no sugar, no glucose. No gluten, no milk, no nothing. I just went cold turkey. Somebody else's kid, they may need to kind of do like a slow steps into it. But just do easy swaps. So instead of the regular cow's milk, maybe do like almond milk or rice milk. Now, again, you have to check your labels because a lot of these things have hidden sources of sugar and other preservatives that aren't good for you. But it's a better option than what's existing out there. So just make those swaps slowly. Instead of the bread, you may have to have the gluten flour or the gluten-free bread, or you may have to start making your own. I know my son loved chicken nuggets, so then he started doing grilled nuggets instead. And I know for some kids, even with all of the stuff that you do, they're still really insistent, like, I want what I want. We're going to have to become more creative and find other ways. Like some kids are like, I'm not eating a vegetable. I don't want to see a vegetable. If you serve me a vegetable, I'm throwing it across the room. Those kids, I would probably say, hey, why don't you put the vegetables in a smoothie or juice it? There's other ways to get around it. So in order for them to get the nutrients that they need, you just kind of have to be creative and stay consistent, okay? Because you got to think about it. They've gone however many years eating whatever, and then all of a sudden now you're like, okay, we're doing something new. They're going to be like, okay. So we got to be prepared for that. So with my son, I used to have to chase him down literally with like a syringe and syringe feed him until we got to the point now where I don't have to do that. But you're gonna be faced with that. So just remember those things. And again, reading the labels, because they sneak it in. You know, like sometimes you'll have certain vinegars or certain starches where you'll have wheat in it. Or even like I remember seeing like wheat in ice cream. But again, you shouldn't even be eating ice cream. But if you choose to do that, just know that sometimes you'll see certain ingredients in places that you wouldn't expect to find it. So we have to become detectives again. But if we want our kids better, if we want our health better, it starts with the gut. Fix the gut first, and then we can move on to the next step. Because much of our immunity and our immune response and how our body protects itself is sourced here. So if we can fix this, then we fix this, and then we fix this. So hopefully that was helpful. Leave me any comments, any questions, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.